We
Yes.
moved. We got Nashville coming up Wednesday. One of the big things coming in Nashville, Continental Classic is starting.
Yes, I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Coming out of tonight, that was such a hard-hitting show. So many of the wrestlers, women and men, beat up, and going into this coming week, it's going to be a very exciting week of AEW. I'm back in the trainer's room across the hall. We're still working through, but I've got a very good idea of who will be participating, and I will be announcing early this week who all the Continental participants in the Gold and Blue League are. One change, after the actions of Jon Moxley and after the hard-hitting match, Kyle O'Reilly will probably be out of action, and it's unfortunate because Kyle did want to wrestle in the Continental Classic. He was really excited about it, and he's been breaking through. He's had some of the biggest wins of his career, and I was excited to see Kyle O'Reilly in the field, but I think Kyle's probably not going to be cleared, and will probably have to deal with some injuries coming out of what was an incredible no-holds-barred match, and I think arguably the biggest win of Kyle O'Reilly's career. And I think these matches in the last recent couple weeks, the Blood and Guts match and the no-holds-barred match tonight, two of the biggest wins of Kyle O'Reilly's career, and I'm so happy for him. What a night for the conglomeration.
Yeah, big time.
Big time night
Big
for the
time.
conglomeration. Kyle will probably not be cleared, unfortunately, but we have a great field coming, and I will be announcing that, and I'm really excited. The matches will start Wednesday, so stay tuned for the Continental Classic field for the Gold and the Blue League. Tonight was an amazing night. I would be remiss if I didn't say to the media, share condolences to some fallen comrades in the world of wrestling and journalism, of course, George Jehinos, and great broadcast journalist, the late, great Mr. Bob Cottle, who could not be with us, but both of them, we are thinking of both of them, and I just wanted to give a shout out to those two great fallen men in the world of wrestling journalism. I thought tonight was a great night. There were so many exciting moments, so many twists and turns on tonight's show, and certainly it sets the stage for a very interesting night on Wednesday Night Dynamite. In addition to looking at the Continental Classic, we'll have Women's World Tag Team Championship semifinal action continuing. We'll have the Sisters of Sin taking on the Babes of Wrath. And then, of course, on the other side of the semifinal, I'm looking forward to finding out what Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa have up their sleeve for Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir.
What stipulation do you think they're going to pick?
Oh,
They rattled off a few on
You
Wednesday.
can't predict what Toni Storm is thinking. Nobody can predict.
Yeah.
Thomas Toni Storm's crazy. Mina Shirakawa and Toni are going to cook up something crazy. It's going to be great. And also looking forward to what's next with the Ops. We have a new AEW World Champion, Samoa Joe, and we saw Hook, somebody who's been with the Ops and may still be with the Ops. It was a very interesting situation. Hangman Page has been such a great world champion, has had such a great run of matches from All In Texas. In these recent months, he's had so many classics, whether it was winning the championship from Jon Moxley, defending the championship again against Jon Moxley, wrestling MJF in the O2, a classic main event of All Out with Kyle Fletcher, beating Samoa Joe at the main event in a great, great match, in a world championship match, but also having a great Falls Count Anywhere match with Powerhouse Hobbs, just great matches and moments for Hangman Page, who's overcome so many things and ended up in a steel cage in a 3-on-1 situation. And Hangman Page then seemingly left standing with somebody who has at times been his biggest rival in pro wrestling, I think his biggest rival in life, Swerve Strickland, who returned tonight. And Swerve Strickland, of course, is also the man who took the AEW World Championship from Samoa Joe in the first place. So a lot of interesting things happening at the end of this show, and a lot to look forward to what's going to happen in AEW to watch this Wednesday night. It's Thanksgiving Eve, and it's a big night, and it's going to be a big week of wrestling. Also, a Thanksgiving night collision, which is the first time we've tried this. I'm very grateful to TNT.
Bringing in a turkey.
And HBO Max, and then one of these, that's my goal is to get you do the wrestling cooking show.
That's
and
please,
we've been talking about
manifest
it. We've been talking about it for years, so we'll get it going with these. And but I think we'll get a turkey in there, and it's going to be a great Thanksgiving collision. I mean, there's such a great tradition of wrestling on Thanksgiving night, and I really think that having not only a great collision, but also to have the Continental Classic matches, knowing you're going to get Continental Classic action coming from Nashville, Thanksgiving Eve on Wednesday, and Thanksgiving, and it's going to be a great field. A lot of top names lined up. Unfortunately, like I said, Kyle O'Reilly probably won't be cleared. I know he was looking forward to it, but I just wanted to shout him out again. And what a great moment that was when Kyle O'Reilly got the win, and also, like I said, for the conglomeration. I'm so happy for Mark Briscoe and the Briscoe family. And I'm excited to see all of you and talk about tonight.
Yeah.
With 5 straight years of over 10,000 fans for the whole year, right? That's pretty cool. And thanks for being here. Now we can take all your questions.
Yeah, let's open it up to you guys.
Hey Tony, Bill from Pop Break. We've talked a lot tonight about people coming full circle. Take us from last year full year to this year full year, and talk about creatively and everything that's going on, and how you personally feel about where the company was 1 year ago to today. Thanks.
1 year ago, sitting in this chair today, I don't feel now. 1 year ago I felt, and today it's 180 degrees the other way. Felt 1 year ago embattled. I feel the opposite. I feel like we are, doing the 10,000 fans and having the Full Gear show felt like the beginning of a turnaround, and that's really what everybody in the vibe of the Full Gear last year was like. This feels like the beginning of a big turnaround for us. And you look at 1 year later, and it feels like we're on such a great run this year. It's been a really great year for us. Some interesting things I'm learning about looking back at this year, and we're in the fourth quarter now of the year. It feels like the fourth quarter, like a sports game, but also 4 quarters, breaking the year down into quarters. The first 3 quarters of the year. In each of the first 3 quarters, year over year, we gained share on CBS for Dynamite, which is huge. For TNT right now on Collision, this is the time of year now where after some playoffs and stuff, the show's back in its groove, and this is the most exciting time of the year, I think, because now the Continental Classic gets going and we're down into the final stretch. Last year, it felt like from Full Gear and the Continental Classic, things really picked up. I thought the Continental Classic last year was even better than the first year, and there were so many exciting things happening. I thought we ended the year on really high notes, and then this year, I've just been so happy with the AEW shows. I think this has been the most consistent year. I thought tonight was another great pay-per-view, which means, and it's just opinions, it's all personal opinions. I feel like we're batting 1,000 on the shows this year. I thought the pay-per-views were great last year too, but I also think that the TV has been more consistently great this year. And there's been changes, but I think one of the big changes is having the show streaming on HBO Max. And there were a lot of questions, would we be able to, having shows every Wednesday on TBS and every Saturday on TNT, when we started putting the shows on HBO Max, would we be able to sustain, hold up, do well? And we've done really, really well, keeping a great audience on cable for the shows, and also adding a whole new audience on streaming. And then recently we started doing the pay-per-views on HBO Max, and I think this is going to be the biggest one yet, and I'm really excited about it. I won't have all the data till early next week, but just from early advanced buys, it felt like this was a real great success story. We had great international support for the show, but trying new things, having the tailgate brawl, having an hour on TNT right before we go live with a pay-per-view to sell the pay-per-view and do things to hook people in. The last pay-per-view, it seemed like it worked really well, and there was a very positive reception having things on the tailgate brawl, including the FTR versus Jet Speed match that went into the pay-per-view, and that was very positively received. Tonight we had a twist on it where it was, again, a match that helped us hook people in, but then Okada's arrival, a little different, but also a very exciting way to have the tailgate brawl connect to the pay-per-view, and that was very well received also. So we were doing things differently a year later, but I felt like 1 year ago that was the beginning of a great run of things that now, like you said, full circle, it feels like a total opposite feeling where it was like a year ago it felt like the beginning of a turnaround, and now it feels like just flow, momentum, and what a great year we're having. So thank you for asking.
Hi, Tony.
Hey.
So I'm going to jump ahead 2 weeks to not only Collision, but Final Battle is also going to be at GalaxyCon this year. What went into the decision to do 2 shows at GalaxyCon compared to just the one like you did last year?
Well, it's a great opportunity. First of all, we'll have a bigger space than what we did for Collision last year. So we're doing Collision and ROH Final Battle, and since we have a bigger space and a bigger set for the shows, and that partnership went great, but I wanted to make it a bigger partnership and also have a bigger set and a chance to invite more fans in. We're going to do that. And for ROH Final Battle also, it's an opportunity to try something different. We'll still have great AEW shows in Hammerstein. It was great having the ROH pay-per-view there, but now after having the great partnership with GalaxyCon for Collision, bringing the Continental Classic to GalaxyCon last year, we can continue that in a bigger venue within the same complex, but also have ROH Final Battle, and I think those hardcore fans and that support, that's going to be conducive and should be great for the ROH show. So we saw a lot of hardcore fans there. There was a question coming in when we saw all the cosplay GalaxyCon people, and it's like, are these wrestling fans? Are they just here from the convention? Are they going to know all the stories and know all the beats? And they absolutely did. They were big wrestling fans. So we were excited to go back and do 2 shows this year. Thanks for asking. Boy, a lot of questions. This is fun. I'm not going to be heading to Arizona for the Jags meeting.
Hey, Tony Brady, one half of the heel marks here. We are approaching the end of the year, and obviously we'll all be talking about who we think the breakout wrestlers of the year were. With the new year comes new opportunities. If you had to name 3 wrestlers that we should keep our eye on, that you think have a great chance of being the breakout wrestlers of 2026, who would they be?
Oh man, well first of all, Renee, who you got?
Oh, I gotta go Kevin Knight.
Oh, that's a great
That's
answer.
my guy.
I
He's
love
incredible.
that. I
That
think
guy,
Kevin Knight's
my
great.
goodness.
Kevin
Ooh.
Knight's great. I love that answer. I think Kevin Knight would be a great answer. The Jet is a great answer for that. Somebody who has absolute breakout potential. I thought he was absolutely fantastic in that match. And along with him, you could absolutely say his partner. And it was really exciting when they had some double teams. Of course, they're coming in hot. The Jet Speed from Marina, Mexico. And they had it was Jet Speed versus Sky Team. And then they all flew in tonight to the pay-per-view. And they were flying around on the show tonight on the pay-per-view. And I think both of them, Kevin Knight and Speedball Bailey, would be absolutely fantastic candidates and nominees for that. And then in the world, and somebody that's done a lot of really exciting things and has been a TBS champion, but I is doing fantastic things and got great support, even though her team didn't get the win in the match tonight. I mean, I still think Willow Nightingale is going to be one of the biggest stars in Willow Nightingale is absolutely fantastic. There you go. That's a big applause. She was absolutely fantastic in the 4-way, and I wanted to give her a shout out because even though Tony Storm and Mina picked up the win, the crowd was so behind Willow, and here you go. Even this room is behind Willow, so there you go. So that was good. So there's 3 great ones, and I could name 27 or 28 others, and those are 3 awesome ones, and that's a good list. Thank you for asking.
Hey Tony, Eric from Adventures in Collecting Podcast. So you told us in this same room last year, how important the wrestling figure world is to professional wrestling in general. And in our community, there has been some ambiguity in terms of what AEW's relationship is with Jazzwares headed into 2026 and beyond. So I was just wondering if maybe you could provide some clarity as to what collectors can expect in regards to that relationship.
That's a great question. I am not. I have to be honest. I'll have to look and spend more time before I give you a thoughtful answer about that. We've had a great partnership with Jazzwares for many, many years, and put out countless figures out, dozens and dozens of different figures across numerous lines, and that's great. And I know we've had a great thing going with them. I can't say for sure how much longer it's going to go, but I've really enjoyed everything we have. And as for the duration, I mean, who knows? But I'm not sure. I can't say for sure right now. But it's been absolutely fantastic working with them, and hopefully we'll be able to do it for a long time. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Justin Orazio with Sports Radio 94 WIP in Philadelphia. Tony, it's nice to see you again.
Hey, good to see you.
We've heard a lot from indie promoters talking about how much success they've seen from Mercedes-Benz going to the promotion and winning belts there. Did that have any impact in the decision to create the AEW National Championship?
I think absolutely that is one aspect of it, and it's not just independent promotions, but also I think strong international promotions. We've had a really good year in ROH. We've done a lot of different things this year, and so far I think the ROH pay-per-views have been great, but there's also been really good reception. I think every time we've put some of the shows on YouTube, people have really been very receptive. I know a lot of people do at times miss when we used to put up Dark and Elevation on YouTube every week. Hearing Shivani and Paul White on commentary made me miss Elevation. I don't know about any of you Elevation hardcores like me. I absolutely love those shows. So I know people love when we put wrestling shows on YouTube to begin with, but really in terms of having stories, championships, and a great group of wrestlers, and some young wrestlers and some veterans, I think it's been a great year for ROH, and I thought that Supercard of Honor and Death Before Dishonor have included some of the best wrestling matches. And even though I was frustrated with the circumstances that led to me making a choice in the chair of putting up Supercard of Honor on YouTube for everybody to watch, actually there was some very good silver linings, because then I think it opened up a ton of people's eyes. Like, this is an awesome pay-per-view. I like this, what Ring of Honor's been doing. These are great. And then in addition to that, I thought putting the Global Wars show up for free on YouTube was super positively received. I really loved the ROH Global Wars. In particular, Global Wars Mexico, when you look at some of the matches, Bandito and Dorada, Moriarty and Blue Panther, that tag match now, and look back at that, seeing Persephone and Athena on opposite sides in that tag match, Persephone and Thunder against Athena and Red Velvet was outstanding. And now Athena versus Persephone for the ROH Women's World Title. So ROH can really benefit for the first time ever. There's never been AEW sending a champion to ROH. It's never happened in the history of the promotions. So that's very exciting. I know that from talking to CMLL and New Japan, they are interested in this, especially when you consider Ricochet has wrestled for both those promotions and done very, very well, and made appearances for New Japan Pro Wrestling and CMLL, even going to wrestling on Wrestle Dynasty, going down to Arena Mexico. So certainly you couldn't have asked for, frankly, a better first champion than Ricochet. I absolutely think it is eye-opening to see people raving about the positive contributions of having an AEW wrestler on their shows, but it's not just any AEW wrestler. It's Mercedes Moné, the TBS champion, somebody that is one of the really recognizable stars of wrestling. It's somebody that is one of the top wrestlers in the world. So in this case, you have another top star, somebody who has great credentials and also is a very recognizable wrestling star, who is a very hard-working star who's traveled the world. So I do think Mercedes blazed trails in terms of probably traveling and wrestling outside AEW more than any champion ever. Not necessarily always defending the TBS championship, but absorbing championships and taking over promotions. So it'll be interesting to have AEW having a champion going and making defenses. And we'll see how far it goes. It may only make one, and it could end any time for Ricochet. That's what makes it very compelling and interesting. But I absolutely think Ricochet was great tonight, and he could be a great national champion. But you have to give tons and tons of credit to Mercedes, to your point, for all the different promotions and all the different championships Mercedes has gone out, and all the business, to your point, that she's done for the different promotions she's wrestled for. And I think those promoters are onto something. Thank you. Lots of hands. This is great. I love this. Thank you for all coming.
Great, Matt. Tony, earlier you mentioned the quality of programming that AEW has been delivering this year, the consistency of the quality of the programming, and I think that's been especially evident so far in pay-per-view 2025 for AEW. That being said, though, with the runtime of these shows, will we ever get back to a point where we can deliver the same quality event that gets done before midnight, 11:30, specifically for the East Coast shows, or maybe specifically in terms of crowd engagement and stuff like that? just maximize that?
For Saturday night, I definitely was in, I could see that. After Dynasty, I like the feedback. So I do think, like, to your point, after Dynasty, I said, like, I probably on the East Coast wouldn't do a Sunday night, like, that late again. So then we started doing, which worked really well, a lot of afternoon start times. I thought tonight was really great, and obviously there was a lot of captivated people throughout the night. I am interested in that. I thought having epic pay-per-views with earlier start times was interesting. Also, when the show, to your point, like, is on the West Coast, like, it's not as you can play with the start times a little more. Also, it'll be interesting going back to Sundays, because I look at Sundays and Saturdays a little bit different from each other. I go to boxing matches and MMA where, like, the main event's not getting in the ring until like 1 in the morning, and the cards are like several hours longer with the prelims. But and there's like 37 minutes between fights with video, like, whereas the action isn't paced the same. So I really like it, but at the same time, I like the feedback. So after Dynasty, I really this past year, when in Philly, I was like, I love the show, but I probably on a Sunday, maybe I wouldn't do that on the East Coast. So I think I look at Saturdays and Sundays different. We'll have a history of doing more Saturday pay-per-views in Q4, particularly like during football season. I really think it serves us well not to do Sunday pay-per-views, so that Saturday pay-per-views, I will always be a little more flexible than Sunday. But also, I think there was something to the early start time pay-per-views at times too, and that could be interesting too. So something to think about. We ended up putting 3 in a row, which we had never done with early start times, and that ended up being, they were all great shows. So there might be something to that. And then we've always done our contracted time from the shows has always been close to 4 hours. Like, so if you look, every AEW pay-per-view has gone over 3.5 hours. There's never been an AEW pay-per-view that went under 3.5 hours in the history of the company, because we were contracted to do shows that go about 3:45. And if we didn't, I would have people talking to the end. Thankfully, we never ended up in a Chi-Town Rumble situation where they had to send enhancement guys to go wrestle for 15 minutes after Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat because they didn't fill the contract time. They did a pretty good job pacing it. So I think it's interesting, but definitely, I always like hearing the fans' feedback. I thought tonight was really, really great show.
Tony, you've got to fly to Phoenix for Jags for tomorrow. You want to take 3 more questions?
That sounds great, but at the same time, I do appreciate you all being here, and it feels like I'll try to pace them here. So with 3 feels about right.
Cool.
Great. Thanks.
Tony, thanks for the time. Rob Osbody from the Stunner here. A few years ago here at Full Gear was one of the most iconic moments where we had the double debut, Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson. And I'm just curious.
What was that, All Out?
Oh, that was All Out?
That was All Out 21.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's late.
It's okay.
But the point of my question is, I'm sure you're constantly scouting, and I'm curious, do you watch independent wrestling yourself?
Yeah, I do.
Like, are you looking for the next?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I go to independent wrestling.
And so, what do you look for when you're scouting?
I look for wrestlers that the fans connect with, and also and it's all different things. Just like in football players are built different. Like, you're looking for different players that play different roles. Like, not every player is the same height and speed and skill set. And there are things that you look for in some players versus other players, and you look for people that can come and play a role in your organization. So when you're looking, you say, oh, I think that person could do this, and then eventually maybe they could grow into a role. And same thing when you're scouting a football player. You think, okay, well, they could come in, and I think they could play this role in the organization, and then I think they have the potential to grow. And sometimes whether it's football or wrestling, people can overperform or underperform those expectations, but they're just estimations and ideas that you have. But in the end, I go out and I look for people that I think could connect with the fans, and people that could be good fit for AEW, and especially people that will be good in our locker room and be a good part of the company, but also people that are going to be great wrestlers for us. And it doesn't necessarily in every case have to be right away. Sometimes it can be, but it could be somebody for the future. Thanks. Hey, take a few more here.
Hi Tony, Aria Whitner at 4WOnline.com.
Earlier this week, it came out that there were a number of suitors for Warner Brothers Discovery, including some that already have commitments to other pro wrestling companies. Are you worried that if WBD is sold to one of these companies, that this may not be good for the future of AEW on TV?
I am not worried at all. I feel really, really good. First of all, we have a great partnership with Warner Brothers Discovery, and we are very blessed to work with the great Superstation TBS, with TNT, and now having the show stream on HBO Max. And no, that doesn't concern me at all. I'm very, 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 very optimistic about the future of AEW and where everything's going. Thank you. Is there anybody here who has not gotten to ask a question yet that's holding up? Yes, okay, because we've had some, thank you. I want to make sure anybody who has not gotten to ask a question yet, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
I just have to ask, clearly you're a big wrestling fan, like a lot of us are in here as well too, but in being in that space, you know, we have what we like to call a burnout, basically, where it's
A what?
a burnout. Well, it's what we social media influencers kind of call, where you're posting so much, burning. There we go. Burnout.
A burnout?
Yes. Yes, it's basically where you're posting so much, you're consuming so much of the product that you just kind of go into that burnout phase where you don't feel as motivated to say post or as motivated to basically do what's part of your job necessarily. I have to say for you, if there's any case where you might be, say, a little less motivated.
No, I haven't taken a break from wrestling in a long, long time, and I love it, and I'm very much in the zone. I love coming to work every week, and it's I've never missed a show, and I absolutely love it. And I talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, but I love coming here, and even if it's a question I've talked about before, and this is not a question I've talked about. I really like it, but I did reference some things along these lines earlier this week that I'd get back into. Every day I come in to work, I'm so grateful to be in the chair. And I think all the time about how fortunate I am. I'm also really glad that you all, for the most part, a lot of the wrestling fans seem to like the work I'm doing and want me to be in the chair, because I'm also cognizant that it's not always that way for people. And I feel like, again, like I said earlier, a year ago I felt like I was working really hard and I was trying my best. And I feel like after a year later, being in the same building in the same place, after turning it, you know, it feels like we're in a better place than we were a year ago in many, many ways. And for me, I don't get that. So I'm always really grateful. Now, as a wrestling fan, wrestling's on 52 weeks a year, so I do realize that, like, it takes a special kind of sports fan to have no off season and to follow sport year round. And there were times when I was a kid where there would be periods where, like, when I was playing basketball, and it was like, you know, I missed some wrestling shows, and the next thing you know, you missed the show a couple weeks in a row, and I'd tape a lot of things on VHS, so I'd forget to set the recorder, and then you missed the show. And there were a couple times where that, like, in the 90s, I had a couple times like that, and then time after time, anytime I got away from it, I always rediscovered my love for it. And then being entrenched in it now for 7 years, every single week without a week away from it, I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. I never think about being away from it, and I eat and breathe and sleep it. So it's a really pleasure to be here, and I never take it for granted how special it is to be able to do this. Thank you for asking. Is there anybody else who has not gotten to ask any questions?
There was one more guy.
There was another.
Yeah. We'll
that's
take
great.
that as the
That's
last
great.
question.
Is there? You didn't get to ask one either? Okay, well you can get
You're
one too.
up next.
We'll get you two. I don't want anybody to leave without asking. Hey, thanks.
Okay, quick question. With
Hey.
Samoa Joe being now a two-time AEW World Champion, and a lot of people ask questions about Ring of Honor, is there going to be a push to kind of highlight some of Samoa Joe's like early career matches, like either on the YouTube channel or that, and kind
Yes.
of put these worlds together?
What a great question, and actually with the digital team being here, thank you, Andrew. So you can, first of all, there's a timeline that includes a lot of Samoa Joe's moments in the Ring of Honor promotion now, but also a lot of Samoa Joe's classic matches are up online. There's been a bit of a streaming wars, if I may say. A lot of wrestling promotions have been posting full matches this year. It's been a bit of and we're participating in that. We're a big participant in the full match streaming thing. We got a lot of great full matches on the AEW YouTube and on the ROH YouTube, including some classics with Samoa Joe, and also on Honor Club. There's this incredible library of the ROH matches, and Honor Club's a really good deal, and I'm telling you, like, go on the YouTube, if you don't believe me, go on some of the ROH YouTube, watch some of this year's shows, look at the comments, and people like, this year has been really good. So you go on the Honor Club, you get the new ROH, but also a lot of the classics. For me, the first ROH DVDs I ever bought were Samoa Joe versus Kenta Kobashi and Bryan Danielson versus Kenta. And Samoa Joe versus Kenta Kobashi for me was one of the things that got me into ROH. And I see you have a follow-up.
So I'm a teacher at Pro Wrestling Club on Fridays, and I showed them that match. They were included the entire time, so I just wanted to let you know.
Hey, that's cool. You, by the way, thanks for doing that. It's really cool. You were just saying, not into the mic because our microphone was back there, but you had just said you have a pro wrestling class and you showed it to your class and they loved it, you said?
Yes, club.
Thank you for the club. Yes, the club. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. It's nice to see you. And then yes.
One last question here.
Matt from iHeartMedia.
Hi, Matt.
How you doing?
Great.
Just wanted to ask you about the use of music for Hangman Page's entrance specifically, and just in general, licensed music. Just if you had anything about how it came together this evening, or if you had the use of licensed music within wrestling.
We were very fortunate. Thank you. It's a great question. I was really glad we got that license done. It was a race against time. Great work, guys.
Shout out Chris Pook.
Got it done. Great to the team. Thanks, guys. I was very grateful. That's a great example, but time after time, we've been very blessed to get the rights to some incredible music. I always love bringing in, anytime you can do different mainstream music, and it's all different kinds of songs too. And whether it was that one tonight or so many other great songs over the years, we've been really lucky that so many of the great artists have given us permission to use the songs. And when I was growing up, you'd hear a lot of those songs, but the wrestling companies wouldn't pay the rights, and then they'd get edited off the show. So I'm happy to pay and pay in perpetuity, so that 20, 30, 40 years from now, when people are watching this, the music will still be on there, and we won't have to scrub it, because that's always it takes you out of the moment, right? Yeah, good. So that's kind of the thought behind it, but we've been fortunate to get a lot of the licensed music we've wanted over the years. It's really great to see you. I'm sorry that it seems like everybody got to ask at least one question, I think. There's nobody that got shafted. That's good. Thank you for all coming here and being here. It's really nice to see you. There's so many great wrestling writers and journalists, and especially up here in the Northeast, in this part of the country, I get to see so many of you. There's a great turnout. I appreciate all of you being here tonight. A lot of you have been covering AEW since the very, very beginning, since we first announced AEW, and I really appreciate it. And whether you came in along the way, whether you've been coming to the shows for years, or whether it's your first time, thank you for being here. I thought it was a great show, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you've had a good experience. I hope that our PR team's taking care of you. I wanted to make sure everybody got to ask at least one question if you wanted to, and it seems like you have, so I'm on to
You got a flight to catch.
Arizona.
You've gotta
and I'm heading to the NFL. Thank you.